Welcome back to yet another YouTube video. I hope everybody had a safe, healthy, and fun holiday season. We're getting into 2026, so it's exciting, but we have a lot to look forward to. Today, we're going to be editing some of my followers and subscribers' photos. Thank you to everybody who submitted photos. I couldn't get to everybody's in this video. We're just going to take a few and really focus on those and dial them in. In the future, if you did not get your photos featured today, I will be doing many more of these videos depending on how this one does and if you guys like it. So let me know in the comments if you do like it, because if so, I will do a lot more of these videos. So I am going to go to this corner. I'll see you guys there. All right, so first submission. This is from Vic, and this is actually our buddy Luis's green R1. He unfortunately passed back a couple months ago. This is very personal for me, and yeah, miss him. So the biggest thing here is that this bike is green, and you're gonna get a lot of blues coming out. As you can see from the sky, there's a lot of blues coming in here, but this is a good quality photo, and we have a lot of data to work with, so I am not too worried here. Let's go ahead and start by straightening this out a little bit. I'm gonna scale it in, and then I'm gonna use the building on the right as well as this wall right here to rotate it and make sure that it's even. And that's pretty good right there. This is pretty distracting up here. Usually I would like this if it was part of the photo, but it is a bit distracting, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. All right, so let's get into the actual editing itself. First things first, I'm going to brighten the image, see what shadows we have, darken it, see what highlights we have. Everything looks pretty good. It's a little bit underexposed here, but we can make it work. All right, I'm gonna bring some of the shadows up so you can get the shadows in the bike. Bring some of those whites down. Flatten the image just a little bit. All right, there we go. So this first, tone exposure basically is just kind of setting a baseline for me. I'm gonna really dial this in with the tone curve in a little bit, but we're just gonna leave it at that for now. I'm introducing just a tiny bit of clarity and dehaze because you can see there's a little bit of dehaze in the bike on the wall. So I'm just gonna bring that down a tiny bit. Gonna bring up the vibrance a bit and then bring down the saturation. And this is that tone curve I was talking about, so I always bring the shadows down. Just give it a little bit of that contrast. Highlights can come up, but not too much. Okay, so we have a nice contrasty photo now. That actually might be a little bit too much contrast, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring blacks up just a bit. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I'm going to take some blues out. I don't want to take too much out, but there is a lot of blue in the bike. So let's just kind of mess with this a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, just a little bit more natural. You can bring some blues back into the sky in just a little bit. I'm going to bring the red saturation up, hopefully make this taillight pop. Same with the orange, make this little brake reservoir pop. Just gonna bring this up a little bit. Okay, let's mess with the greens. I'm gonna bring the saturation up and the luminance up. And then I'm also gonna make the aquas right here a little bit more green if you look on the right side. You can change. See how it's so much more blue here than this was the natural color, and I'm just gonna make it just a bit more green so that it's back to its natural color. You can see the yellows are being affected down here. I'm going to turn them just a little bit more orange and then probably bring down the exposure just a bit so that we don't have so many colors in the photo. Then I like how this one is right here. So I like how the colors are. There is a little bit too much going on for my taste. I don't like how the winglet cuts through this space right here. It seems very layered, but I think we can make it work. I'm gonna go ahead and bring a linear gradient up from the bottom. Bring that down. Yeah, see how much that just brings the focus to the bike. That looks really good. I'm gonna bring this up just a little bit more. I'm going to create a mask coming from, it's going to be a radial gradient coming from the top left, which is where the sun is coming from. And that'll just kind of give the illusion of the sun coming in. I'm also going to dehaze it a little bit. So I think that looks good. So you can actually take the subject out of the mask. What I'm going to do is come over here, click subtract, and then select objects. And then you can just color over your subject. And then it just subtracts the subject from this mask. So you can look up here, you can see the red is where the gradient is. It's even actually in between here. You show the overlay. I actually did a pretty good job of, figuring out where the taillight was. It, figures out where your spokes are, and here it didn't do as good of a job, but that's all right. We'll let it slide this one time. We're gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna select subject. I'm gonna show you guys why. Whenever I do a bike and I select subject, for some reason, it doesn't filter out these spokes. It keeps the spokes as part of the subject, which is really annoying to me. So I actually don't use select subject. I'm gonna go ahead and just delete that. I do select objects, and that's what I did for that radial gradient. I also selected the object. I don't know why it does that, because it obviously can sense that the spokes are there. So you're gonna see here, it doesn't mask the spokes, and it does a good job with this. So don't ask me why, I don't know. Adobe, figure stuff out. But anyway, that's a little helpful tip. If you're shooting bikes and you're going in and editing and you're having to color in all the spokes and everything because you're selecting the subject, you can just do select object and it'll automatically mask out the spokes for you. So pretty cool. All I'm doing here is I'm going to brighten the bike just a little bit. I'm going to bring a tiny bit of contrast in, bring the shadows down just a bit, but I still want to be able to see the shadows. I want to be able to see the green. So I'm not going to do it too much. I'm really not going to touch other than that. I may bring a little bit more orange into it because you can see it's taking out some of those blues that are in the bike and just introducing a little bit more of that warmer green tone, which is how that bike really is in person. I'm going to mess with the purples a little bit, but I think they're actually pretty good. I'm going to maybe turn it a little bit more green and then just bring up a tiny bit of saturation, not much. Just don't want to oversaturate it. All right, let me look and see. Pretty centered. It's a little cantered off to the right, it looks like, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I may just barely move it. Yeah. All right, now for the sky. So let's go ahead and select sky. I'm just going to darken it a little bit. Introduce a little bit of orange to it. And that's really it. I mean, I'm trying to think of other things I would do to this photo, but it's pretty clean, honestly. I think I would have preferred to maybe have the building over here just a little bit more off to the right side, just so it wasn't overlapping with the edge of this. And if you shifted the camera, it would also shift the bike over to the left more, so you wouldn't have this overlapping over that. But other than that, I think this is a great photo. It's clean. It shows off the bike really well. Okay, I changed it a little bit. I made it a little bit more warm, but I'm just messing with the color grade here a little bit just to see if I like anything different. It honestly looks pretty good to me. Bring the midtones down a little bit. There you go. A little bit more orange in the highlights. Just give it that setting sun vibe. But honestly, I like it. All right, guys, next submission is from Ian. I think this is his personal car. I think it's a Mark 6 Golf, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a gorgeous photo. Holy cow. I absolutely love this photo. The first things I'm just noticing off the bat is there's a little bit of trash here, here, and over here. So we're going to go ahead and clean those up. Okay, perfect. I just realized he shot a JPEG photo, which is a big no-no. Don't shoot JPEG, only shoot RAW. But that's okay. We'll be able to mess with it a little bit. You just don't get as much data with a JPEG photo, which is the only thing. But this photo still looks pretty good, so we're gonna do what we can with it. We go ahead and bring the highlights down, bring the shadows down, whites come down, and then I'm just gonna make the blacks up just a little bit. We go ahead and bump that clarity up. I'm not gonna touch dehaze much just because it messes with JPEG photos a little bit. I'm gonna bring the vibrance up, saturation down. I'm gonna make this photo just a tad bit warmer and bring up the greens just a little bit. Man, JPEGs are so weird to work with. Okay, just gonna. There's a lot of vignetting going on right now, which I don't like at all. Let's see if I can stabilize that vignetting a little bit. All right. I think first thing I want to do is just bring in a linear gradient for the bottom here. Looks good. Gonna bring in a radial gradient from top left, just like that other photo. Very similar. I'm gonna go ahead and select the landscape, which hopefully will see the mountains and allow those to be selected separately. Okay, it didn't do a terrible job. I'm just gonna click vegetation, honestly. Okay, I'm just gonna bring these down a little bit, and then just bring a little bit of warmth into them. Yeah, that looks good. Bring us just a little bit of saturation, and that's all you really need to do. This photo is honestly, it doesn't need that much. I may bring the sky back in a little bit. Let's see, with the JPEG, you lose so, I mean, you can see right here, like I'm losing so much data just because it is a JPEG, but that's all right. Yeah, I mean, there's just not much you can do about this. Like, there's just, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I may bring the color of the car up a little bit. In fact, I wasn't gonna select this subject just because, so here I will select subject, by the way, instead of object, just because we're not dealing with any like spokes or anything like that. I was gonna bring it up, but I don't think there's enough detail left in it to bring up. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to touch the, I didn't want to touch the car too much just because it doesn't hold data as well. Might bring in some blues in the shadows and just a little bit of the yellows in the midtones. Bring the midtones down just a tad. Highlights could be a little bit more orange, I think. But yeah, composition was great. The mountains look amazing. I don't want to take away from it. So, I mean, yeah. I wish I could do more with the car just because it is a JPEG. It feels like I should be able to do more with the car, but there's really not much I can do. Also, one other note is I would probably turn the headlights on next time you take these photos, just because it'll make the car pop a little bit more. But this is a good shot. Cannot complain. Nice job, Ian. All right, next photos. This is from Tyler. This is a yellow C7, which I'm assuming was from this fall. This is a really pretty location. I probably would have cut out some of this bottom here and gotten like a lower shot and shot up at the car a little bit more. That way you see more of the trees and you get like the leading lines going behind still, but also seeing more of the trees. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this to be just a little bit straighter. I'm gonna bring the Y offset a little bit higher and it'll crop the photo a little bit, but honestly, I don't know. You're also kind of far away from the car, which is something that I'm struggling with. I probably would have gotten lower and then closer up, or I would have zoomed in more. I know you wanted the location to be like a big part of the photo, but yeah, I probably just would have gotten a little bit closer to the car, but this is still a great shot. There we go. All right, so we'll take that out, remove plenty of data to work with. I love that. Good job keeping the headlights on. That is very, very good. Clarity can come up, dehaze can come up just a little bit. Bring the vibrance up. You want those fall colors to pop. And then let's touch this tone curve a tad. Don't want to do anything too crazy. I'm not going to touch any colors for now. I want to do my masking first. So let's go ahead and bring a linear gradient in from the bottom. Again, you don't want to do too much to it, just enough to draw the attention to the car. I'm going to go ahead and bring a radial gradient in from right here. It looks like this is where the sun's coming from. So just bring a decent radial gradient in from there. All right, that's looking good. I'm also going to do a smaller radial gradient that's a little bit thinner and bring that towards the car, just from here. And that way we can kind of bring the focus a little bit to the car and the road. Then that way, this looks just a little bit, doesn't much shine back here, we can kind of take out. Nice though. There's a lot of vignetting going on. I don't feel like that, so I create a new mask. It's going to be a radial gradient, and it's going to go over the car. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert it, and then bring the exposure up, so you can just see the landscape a little bit better. Speaking of landscape, let's go ahead and mess with it a little bit. Go ahead and just bring it down a little bit, make it a little bit more orange. Pull it to the green side a little bit. Bring the saturation up, and then I'm going to bring the highlights in it up, take the shadows down just a tad. All right, and last but not least, let's check the subject. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I see there's a lot of shadows kind of bouncing off the paint. So I'm gonna bring the whole subject up and the shadows up, and then I'm gonna bring the highlights down a little bit and bring the contrast up. There's not much that I can do about like here. There's just a lot of, anytime you shoot in the trees or anything like that, there's gonna be a lot of reflections and everything. So not much I can do on that, but one thing I will say is next time turn this wheel so that you can get a little bit more of that wheel detail in the shot and shoot a little bit lower. It'll make the composition just look so much better. But overall, I like it. This is a really good location. This is a really cool location. Just turn the wheel, get a little bit lower, and get a little bit closer. So this was before, and that's after. So let's go ahead to the next photo. This is going to be number 4. This submission is from Yuri, and it looks like he's shooting an RCF. Yeah, RCF here on TEs. That's pretty sick. Let's go ahead and see how much data we have to play with here. Okay, looks like a little bit moody. First thing I'm going to do is, it's just a little bit off center, so I'm going to bring this back to the middle. And then I'm just going to rotate it just a tiny bit. I'm going to be honest, these pulls right here are just a little bit distracting. Whole lot cleaner. I like this a lot better. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring the contrast up. Definitely bring the highlights up, which is really just the car in the sky over here. And then I'm going to bring the shadows up just a bit. Bring lights down. And then I'm just going to bring the saturation down a little bit. Really the only color that we have in this photo is the trees back here and then the red taillights and calipers. So we're free to kind of mess with it as we want. I actually really like that those are the only two, pops of color. It makes this photo super clean. So along those lines, I'm going to bring the saturation up on the red as well as the luminance just to make those pop a tiny bit more. This already has a pretty decent vibe to it of like, shadows on the bottom, light coming in from the right side. I really like it. So I don't feel like I need to do too much. I'm barely just going to do a little bit of darkening here. I'm going to go ahead and pull a radial gradient from here. I feel like that's pretty good there. And this is just going to be a very wide radial gradient to pull light in from the right side. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the last photo where I pull a very thin radial gradient. And that'll look, so it looks like it's just coming from this little window right here, you know what I mean? We're just going to pull that up a bit. It just brings a little bit more, it just highlights the car a little bit more. Actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit wider. And I'm going to invert and duplicate the mask so that it selects everything else and bring all of this down so that a lot more focus is on the car. I don't need to do too much with the subject itself. It's pretty clean. I feel like it's a white car, so you don't really need to brighten it, because if you do, sometimes you lose the curves in the car. So like the hood lines up here, if I brighten it anymore, I can sometimes lose these, especially right here. So you want to make sure that your subject still, has depth to it, and you don't want to take that away when you're editing. So I'm going to leave that as is. This is bothering me a little bit. I think it's just slightly rotated. I like that a lot better. Try to introduce some blues to the shadows, which might look good. But honestly, I feel like this is a really good just photo as is. My only recommendation is when you're shooting at a location like this is a cool location, but I probably would not shoot just like in a parking spot. I would take it somewhere else outside of a parking spot. This is kind of bugging me right here. Okay, so this looks a little bit better. It doesn't look like you're just sitting in a parking lot anymore. I would still probably not recommend parking somewhere there. I would pull the car away a little bit. Again, turn the wheel maybe. It's bagged. Maybe I wouldn't turn the wheel. I don't know, I'd probably turn the wheel. And just like pull it a little bit closer to you. So you still get the vibe of being in like, the parking garage and stuff. But it doesn't look like the car is just sitting there in a parking spot. You know what I mean? So just pull it out. Pull the car out like right here. And you get a lot more depth to your photo because you can kind of step back a little bit more, hold the zoom in, and then you get the car, and then you get the background behind it, so that it looks, just the photo will have more depth. That's really my only suggestion. I really like the photo. I like the composition. I like the space and everything. It's a really good space for this car. I love how the light is coming in from the opening and hitting the car. Thumbs up for me. You're a good photo. All right, this is the last submission for this video. This is Alex Scarborough's yellow Huracan submission. Looks like it's a CR3 file, so Canon user, thumbs down. No, I'm just kidding. This looks like a pretty good photo. Very simple, very clean. It's like everything is decently in focus. ISO 400 was not necessary, so drop that down a little bit, because you're getting a little bit of the grain in the paint on the side, and you're shooting at f4.5 and 1/250 seconds. I'd probably bring those two down and then bring the ISO down. So I'd shoot at like 3.2 and then shoot at maybe like 1/100. So you get a little bit more brightness, you'll get a little bit more separation from your background. And then I would also just take a step back and give yourself a little bit more space on the side here. You don't have that much space between the car and the edge of the photo. So if you ever need to do some cropping, or if you want to post them like on social media will basically crop out where this excess is, just because it's a different file format, like 16:9 instead of 4:3. That would be my only suggestion, is just give yourself a little bit more space on the sides. And I would maybe bring the camera up a little bit just so you can see more of like the hood and then like the side haunches. And it looks like he has a little wing back there, so you might be able to see that a little bit better if you just like raise the camera up a little bit. But overall, I like this photo a lot. It's super clean. I'm gonna start by, okay, plenty of sky left, plenty of shadows left, looking good. I'm gonna bring the exposure down on the photo a little bit. Contrast is gonna come up, highlights will come down, shadows will come up, quite a bit actually. Bring the whites down and the blacks down just a little bit. Clarity will come up, dehaze will come up just a bit. This is giving me like Forza vibes for some reason. I really like this photo. Bring the saturation down a little bit now, especially with bright colors like this, kind of like with that yellow Corvette that we were doing. I want to make sure that I stay true to the color of the car. Same with that Mark 6 GTI. So I'll make sure I don't change, the color of the car or anything like this. I want to make sure that it stays as true as possible. So I'm going to keep this here. You can see it's already a little bit more orangey than it was before. Bring over to the yellow side a little bit. That looks pretty good. I'm going to bring the saturation up on it just a tad. Bring a little bit more of that focus to the yellow. Bring the greens over towards the yellow side just a little bit. Looks pretty good. Bring the exposure up. All right, let's get to masking. So I'm gonna do a linear gradient from the bottom, just like my other photos. Brings a little bit more separation, shows the car off a little bit. So just for instance, just that little tiny touch to make a difference. Looks like the sun is coming from over here, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull a radial filter from that side of the photo. Just brighten it a tiny bit. I'm gonna go ahead and mask off the sky real quick. Bring the exposure on that down. You can see the mask didn't touch like down here or like some of the trees here, so I don't want to mess with the sky too much, or you will see the difference. You can actually kind of see the difference a little bit there. So I think honestly this is kind of overexposed over here, so there's not going to be much I can do about that, but it is what it is. Yeah, not too much I can do about that. So we'll just leave that pretty close to standard. I'm just curious how it looked on the, yeah, it was still overexposed there on that photo. All right, well, that is all right. I'm gonna go ahead and select the subject. I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the shadows up. And I don't wanna wash it out too much, so I'm gonna bring the contrast up a little bit to make sure we still have that contrasty look. What I might do is I might grab the vegetation and darken it a little bit, because you can see we darkened the sky around it, so there's a little bit of lightness around the vegetation. So I just wanted to make it look a little bit more natural, which looks pretty good there with the brightness a little bit. My only thing is I want to see more of like the landscape. I'm seeing too much car here, which is fine, but if this ever needs to be cropped or used for other kinds of media, you're not really going to be able to do it. So I would just recommend using a little bit more room on the sides, and then bring the camera up so you can see a little bit over the top of the car. But I like this. This is a good photo. This is a good photo. So this is before, this is after. Just retouched it a little bit. It really didn't need that much. So before, after. I really like this photo a lot. Before, after, looking good. Before, this is after. You can see I didn't really even do that much to everything else. I just kind of composed the photo a little bit differently. And then for this last one, we have before and after. Same thing. I mean, what I might do, actually, I might bring this down here. So cool. Let me know what you guys think, if you would edit them any differently, if you would have changed some things, or maybe you have some editing tips for everybody in the comments who's watching and want to share some of your expertise. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to be featured in one of the next videos, I'd always love to feature whoever is interested, and just shoot me a comment or a message on Instagram and be like, hey, I'd really love you to feature this photo in your next video, and I'd love to edit it. So hope you guys enjoyed. Looking forward to 2026, whatever it has in store, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.